What's going on, guys? I am Jay the Black. Shout out to everybody that's on there. Make sure you like this video and share it because I'm going to be talking about something important in regards to mental health and how I think a lot of it is going untreated. A lot of people are just living with it. In the case of Cheslie Kryst, I did a video on her initial passing and how she ended up taking her own life. I have a video link in the description box. You can check out my first initial thoughts on it. There's a little bit more information that has come out via her mother, right? Who herself is someone who you can see where she gets her looks from, you know? Her mother was like her best friend, right? They talked to each other a lot, according to these articles I've been looking at. And she also talked about how Cheslie dealt with high functioning depression. That's not a term I've heard a lot. You know, you do have people who do function every day who deal with depression and mental illness. You've heard of alcoholics, right? You got high functioning alcoholics who drink a lot, but they're still able to work a regular job, you know, be around others and not really show signs of any type of addiction. Well, in this case, according to her mother, she was dealing with high functional depression. And up until recently, she didn't tell anybody about it. Until recently, she told her mother about it, right? And so I think that you have women like her. And also there was some other things as well. Apparently she had been dealing with bullying from ageist trolls. I guess people were trolling her about her age, even though she's not old at all. But in her world of being a beauty queen, age matters. But in reality, if we were to look at the outside looking in, we'll look at her and say, you know what, she's going to be turning 30 or she's 30. That doesn't bother people because she's still an attractive woman, Cheslie. So you would not look at her and say, oh, she's too old. Now, I know that there are guys who speak on women and how they hit the wall. There are certain guys that will say women hit the wall at 30, but they would still date Cheslie. They'll still date her or they'll still sleep with her. I'm not one of those type of people that claims a woman hits the wall at 30, unless she just has her physical looks have just declined from the time she was 20 to 30. But a woman that looks like Cheslie, I am not going to say that she has hit any wall, that she is too old. But when you look at the entertainment industry, which is the industry that she was in, working for Extra TV, I'm pretty sure she had ambitions to do other things that unfortunately she never got the chance to do. In her mind, she felt too old because when you're in those circles, those Hollywood circles, there are going to be guys who, when it comes, and I'm bringing up relationships now, they're going to want women who are in their 20s. When you get into acting, I don't know if she was trying to get into acting or be an actress, but in certain roles, they were only cast to women in their early 20s or mid 20s. But I don't think that she was hurting for attention at all. And also the one thing I noticed is that she wasn't dating anybody. She wasn't connected to any guy. That could have played a part into the issues she may have had. I've seen some rumors of some other things. I'm not even gonna go into it. But she wasn't really close romantically with anyone. So you have a woman who physically is still in her peak, who still feels unfulfilled. And she said that she dealt with ageist trolls. Now listen, in regards to social media, people are going to find something to make fun of you about. Maybe there are people that don't like the fact that she has a black fist in her profile pic and they think that she is a social justice warrior or one of these people who are about pushing identity politics, and they may bring up things about her age, but you cannot tell me that when most people look at her, they don't see a woman that's old or over the hill. There are people who will say things to hurt you. And if they think that bringing up her age, even though she was 30, or she was at the time turning 30, and I think that she felt that either she hadn't accomplished more by 30, or she felt like because other women tend to not get as much attention when they're 30 or over 30, or opportunities, which may have been the case, that would be why she felt the way she felt. But in my opinion, okay, I think people that suffer from depression have always, I don't say always, there was something that happened years ago that would bring on that depression. Depression just doesn't happen over less than a year. Depression is something that builds over time. So there could have been things, because again, she was in the beauty pageant world, right? She's from South Carolina, Rock Hill, right? She's from a small, I want to say Rock Hill's not that small, but it's a smaller place, right? Went to University of South Carolina, worked her way up to be able to live in New York City, be Miss USA, be able to work on TV with Extra, be world renowned, right? And then you sort of get to that peak, and then there's like a decline there. And maybe she felt like by the time she was getting close to 30, she hadn't accomplished, what she wanted to accomplish. But that's, sometimes you have to let things play out. But I'm not one of those people to believe that depression just happens over a year's time. Depression is something that happens a lot throughout people's lives. They could be, children who are depressed, teenagers, people when they were teenagers, they dealt with depression. In their early to mid 20s dealt with depression. And then when they get into their 30s, depression comes back up. There are certain triggers to where that brings that depression up. And depression is something that people deal with throughout their entire life. And they use certain vices in order to combat that. Some people will use alcohol, drugs, sleeping around. They will use something to self-medicate. You got people that travel, who may deal with depression. They move around a lot because they don't want to be stationary, because it may trigger or affect them in some type of way. That's why it's always good to get help. But when you're in that world of beauty, when you're looked upon for your looks, you feel like once you get to 30 that no one's going to care after that. But the thing is that there are a lot of people that cared about her. Again, I don't know what her personal life was like. I said in my previous video, a lot of times when women are dealing with issues of depression this badly, it usually is tied to their romantic life. And I don't believe she told her mother everything, because as human beings, we're not going to tell everybody every bit of our life. There are certain things that we're going to keep to ourselves because it's nobody's business. There are certain things that women will have done in their life that they will take to their grave. They're not going to say anything. Some people will take secrets. They will keep those secrets and they will not tell anybody. There could have been things that have been bothering her for some time that finally caught up with her. Certain demons that she had that she could not shake. And I think she's not the only one that's dealt with this. There have been numerous people recently that have taken their life. I did a video about a young mother. She was in her early 20s. She was a single mother. She felt so depressed about her life that she intentionally wrecked her car. Not only did she end her life, she ended up taking somebody else's in the process, because that's how badly she was feeling. And she probably was too someone who was a high functioning person with depression, and they're never able to get help. And this is stuff that is recent. I don't think it's a coincidence that the lockdowns have caused more depression, because people had to sit in their homes, especially, her in New York when things got really crazy. You had to sit in your home for months, almost a year or so. And you just had to sit and be in your mind. You had to think about all those insecurities that you've had, and it just bubbles up to the surface because you can't really go out in public. You can't really go and do your normal routine. Your routine has been halted due to the effects of what's going on around you. And I believe that Cheslie dealt with that. And I think that it got the best of her. Again, I don't think depression is something that occurs it can occur in a short amount of time, but it's something that builds. It builds and until some people just can't take it anymore. If they don't have a certain vice, the only thing they could do is just make it stop. And it seemed like that's what she wanted to do. And I'm not the one for bullying. I'm not the one for harassing. But the one thing I do know about the social media is that people are going to do things to get a reaction out of you. And if they said things to Cheslie because they wanted a reaction out of her, well, they got a reaction. All right. That's why I hope people understand, when you're a part of social media, the one thing you're going to deal with is people who don't even show their real face most of the time. Probably they're going to go at you. They're going to use something to attack you. If they see that you're happy, or they see that you are living your life the way you want to live it, they're going to say things about you, especially if they feel like you go against something that they believe in. They said that she was about being someone who's for diversity and someone that pushes for social justice and rights. I seen a story where they talked about how her work helped inmates regain freedom. So that's what she was about. And she was deeply religious. Of course, if you're from South Carolina, you're going to be deeply religious. But ultimately, I think the world lost somebody that had a lot of potential that will never be able to meet. I'm all about people and their potential. When you see people and they have everything that they need to be a success in whatever they do, and they're never able to reach that, it bothers you. So let us know in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts. Make sure you like this video and share it. Make sure that you check out my first video, and I'll see y'all in the next one.